Welcome to the Bvnkr Bvlletin, putting the free press in depressed. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Trevor Wade.
And I'm Michaela King. Thank you for joining us, and hello.
Great.
We have with us today our notes and our pencils, even though we certainly have no need for writing anything down while we're doing this.
But Scar told us to be prepared, and dagnammit, we're going to be.
So we're taking advice from fascist cartoon lions now?
Still better than what's coming out of the White House.
That's true. A directive came out Monday at the White House for staff to start wearing masks. After at least 3 staff members tested positive for coronavirus, the White House...
Monday? Like yesterday? Michaela, people have been wearing masks to protect themselves since the beginning of the outbreak. It looks like you pulled an old story.
I know, Trevor. Most people have been following precautions for months. I'm talking about masking since been masking since been masking since been masking. But in an NPR article timestamped May 11th, 2020, 4:36 p.m., it appears that the White House has been nutting on the masks until now, leaving us to question how high of a hill do they think they've been on? Get my how high references?
I do not.
Okay. In a related story, a clear message is being sent to infected staffers. Cough in his mouth.
The White House this week proposed the Guideline for Opening Up America Again framework, or GOAF, a plan which includes consulting faith leaders. It's the first time during this pandemic that instead of sending thoughts and prayers, people are asking for prayers. Hold the thoughts. Trump toured a mask production facility and insisted he didn't need to wear a mask because it would send the wrong message.
Like the message that he's smart? Or that he's a hero?
The message that he hasn't been wearing a mask this whole time. I mean, seriously, have you seen that Halloween store sag bag he wears? Leatherface is actually suing the administration for copyright infringement. A few weeks ago, Trump suggested injecting bleach into your lungs could be a way to combat the coronavirus, then backed off his comments, saying that he was being sarcastic. He then tweeted journalists should return their Nobel Prizes, misspelling Nobel, for the harm they were causing. When it was pointed out to the president that journalists aren't offered the Nobel Prize, he said he was being sarcastic yet again.
It reminds me of that classic Nixon quote. People have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I am not a crook. Not. Or FDR's inspirational reminder. The ultimate rulers of our democracy are not a president and senators and congressmen and government officials, but the voters of this country. Psych!
Or in more recent years, when President Reagan made his famous demand of the USSR, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. I'm just kidding. Unless you're going to do it. I believe that was called the Nelly speech. Last week, Trump compared himself to Lincoln, and not just because he's the same color as a penny. And while both presidents may well have presiding over a civil war in their legacy, unfortunately, we can never hope that Trump will be assassinated in a theater because he's not cultured enough to ever set foot in one.
Ever since Pence got booed at Hamilton, there's no way anyone in this administration is going near a theater.
Now, the closest they're getting to Broadway is Sesame Street. Trump and Kushner, examples of the dangers of exposing a body to too much sun and not enough sun, respectively, are insisting we are on the other side of this. But FEMA just ordered 100,000 COVID-19 body bags, which is not a great show of faith. It's like your friend is drunk at a party going, "No, man, I'm good to drive. I'm super good. Hey, by the way, do you know any attorneys?"
Although it should be noted that 6 feet under is technically compliant with social distancing. In other news, alcohol consumption has been on the rise during quarantine.
You don't say.
I just did, Trevor, and you can color me shocked as well. In fact, I'm so not surprised by this, I'm going to turn it into a drinking game. Every time I'm not surprised by the news, I will take a drink.
That sounds like a foolish game.
Yes, well, otherwise it wouldn't be called a drinking game. And better than a wicked game you play. But the numbers don't lie, Trevor. Alcohol sales have skyrocketed some percentage over the last many weeks, all across the globe.
That's true. Meatpacking industrial colossus Tyson warned that the USDA's supply chain may be interrupted as animals are depopulated en masse due to lack of demand. That is some mobster-ass shit right there. Whoa, 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 who said anything about murder?
Nah, I'm just saying it would be a suddenly depopulated.
It'd be real sad, that's all. Even so, meatpacking workers across the country are threatening to walk out because the companies they worked for are not making good on promises to sanitize factories.
Oh, so you need a little help with sanitation now.
I tell you what, here's a Purell pad. Why don't you get back to work before I sanitize your shoes with some cement, huh?
A video of a gory and fatal maiming made viral news last week. I'm sorry, Trevor, I forgot that word is now politically incorrect to use. A video of a gory and fatal maiming spread like wildfire across the dry, unthinned shrubbery of the internet last week.
I never thought that would be the politically correct thing to say, especially in California.
Well, Trevor, I'm not a politician, but I am always correct. And I'm going to get the most mileage out of that I can before June.
Sure, before fires break out and it likewise becomes a socially insensitive turn of phrase.
Before Putin and Saudi Arabia pull out of this race to the bottom price war game of chicken they're playing and gas prices go back up. I'm talking mileage, Trevor. And not that I'm much of a gambler, but if I have to put a bet on who chickens out in a game of anyone v Putin chicken, I will always bet on anyone first.
Did you lead in with a gory and fatal maiming?
I believe so. But I guess I was trying to stall, as this story is both very complex, as it is disturbingly violent, and also a sliver of a ray of hope.
Michaela, have you just been watching the New Mutants trailer over and over?
If by New Mutants you mean Mantis and Murder Hornet, yes. This place takes your greatest fear and makes you live through it. That is, if your greatest fear is watching a living thing get its brains eaten out through its eyeball. In a remarkable and blood-chilling clip, a praying mantis quickly became America's superhero and sweetheart, as it successfully tackled a live murder hornet, awkwardly pinned it down, and then ate its brain in a manner too deftly to be watched without squirming, even though we now fear and loathe murder hornets almost as much as we do Trump.
Ooh, what a stinger.
What with the corona, the bleach injections, and good old-fashioned walking off a cliff, we now have to add to the list of ways to die being murdered by murder hornets, either indirectly by starving us to death via bee genocide or just directly murdering us. Which is why, although I never thought mantises attractive, I now find myself wanting to fall in love with them. The world was on fire and no one could save me but you.
Song's really in your head, huh?
Hey Trevor, what's this?
Your hand?
It's a brain eater. What's it doing?
I don't know.
Starving to death?
The company that makes facial recognition software announced they'd rewritten their algorithm so they only needed to see eyes and eyebrows to get a match. So we at the Bunker are pleased to announce that the latest identity protection equipment is a razor. If you want to keep your whereabouts safe, you're going to need to know-ho hank yourself and lose the brows. Now I see you looking at me skeptically, but if you use that tech, I won't even be able to tell that. It'll be as anonymous and protected as a newborn baby, or Matt Lucas.
Oh, did you see his Boris Johnson video?
I did.
He's so funny.
Like a comedic hard-boiled egg. Just when I thought his kid's name was the douchiest thing he'd ever do, Elon Musk defied Alameda County regulations today and opened his factory for production. He also claimed that this was the last straw, and he would now move his production factories to Nevada or Texas. Elon, hun, do you have any idea how hard you would get your ass kicked in Texas? I don't know if you've done much research into your demographic, but there's a reason that your fancy RC cars sell so well in the Bay Area. You're never going to see a Tesla with a bumper sticker that says, "Remember the Alamo." You're going to wind up like a brony at a PRCA championship. PRCA is the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, an acronym I knew I had to explain because I know my demographic.
For the first installment of our new segment titled, "That Can't Be Real," LOL. Wait, what? Please God, don't let that be real. Oh God. Why? What? Why? And then... we turn to me on a story of a Florida-based private security firm botching their own attempted coup by tweeting to Donald Trump, while the attempt was still in motion.
Are you kidding?
I am not, Trevor. Because I would never set up a joke with the phrase Florida-based if the punchline is something insane that someone did. Start any sentence with Florida-based, and no matter what you say after that, Trevor, it pretty much checks out.
You're probably right. I should freshen my drink.
As truth would have it, in late March, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced the U.S. would offer a $55 million bounty for the capture of self-proclaimed President Nicolas Maduro and 4 of his associates. Apparently, Pompeo thought that no one would notice that he did that, not even the news, because we were distracted by a global pandemic and the subsequent excruciating economic fallout, and apparently he really knows what's up. Because no one was aware that this was happening until Silvercorp tweeted it to the world. So now 2 American men are being tried in Venezuela for attempting a coup after they and a few of their ex-Green Beret and ex-DEA friends were arrested driving their boats to Venezuela mid-tweet.
Speaking of, Twitter has started tagging tweets as potentially harmful if they contain misinformation or untested data about the coronavirus. They also just went ahead and changed Trump's bio for him. Save time. April Arellano, owner of CNC Coffee and Kitchen, opened her restaurant on Mother's Day, ignoring all guidelines for social distancing. Arellano was quoted as saying, "I'm so happy so many people came out to support the Constitution and stand up for what is right. We did our time. We did our 2 weeks. We were failing. We had to do something."
Couple of things here. First of all, 2 weeks.
The lockdown started months ago. Were you just operating as normal until then? Like, well, people sure are talking about this Tiger King, but where does anybody find the time to watch something? There just aren't enough hours in the day. I once went 2 weeks without a working toilet in my apartment. I didn't start taking dumps all over my living room. I started dropping by my friends' houses around 10:30 in the morning.
And second, I know it's been a spell since I read the Constitution, but I forgot about the part stipulating our right to life, liberty, and overpriced breakfast burritos.
It's in Article 3, I think. States all over the nation are desperately trying to reopen so people can get haircuts and go to restaurants. And most importantly, so they won't have to stay inside and watch whatever the hell Quibi is.
Some kind of sauce?
But Dr. Fauci met with the Senate today to warn that even though we are heading in the right direction, we do not have total control over this outbreak. It's like when my friends and I took a trip to Las Vegas. We headed south on I-5, but then 3 hours in I got bored and I wanted to walk around in the sunshine, so I pulled over and started playing Frogger in the fast lane. The worst part is, we were in Bakersfield. And we are not out of the woods yet. We barely know how to identify this virus, let alone treat it. Reported symptoms of coronavirus are changing nearly daily, and it's difficult to keep up, with symptoms appearing as stroke, lack of smell, or even COVID toes. It's like this virus is being written by the guys who made Superman. Every issue, he gets a new power. Okay, so he's faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Also, he has X-ray vision and ice breath. Give him ice breath.
Okay, and he can hear really good.
That doesn't seem like it lines up with the other ones.
I wanted to hear really good. And he can spin the world so fast that he can rewind time. Ahmaud Arbery's alleged murderers won't be charged with a hate crime because Georgia doesn't have laws recognizing hate crimes.
What was that?
Oh, some of these stories are so depressing that I can't come up with a punchline for them, so I'm hoping to slip them in at the end of jokes so that they go down easier.
Ah, like telling your kids you're getting a divorce at Disneyland.
Right, or waiting until you're in the middle of sex to tell your boyfriend you lost his dog.
Or hitting someone with a subpoena by telling them they won the sweepstakes.
Are you Michaela King?
I am.
Congratulations, here's $100,000. And also you've been served. Trump's trying to shut down the post office to block voting by mail so he can steal the election. You have anything else?
I was preparing a report on the border tension that is rising between China and India, which, based on that headline, is quite concerning.
Planning to, but you ran out of time?
There were 11 troops involved in total from both sides. A quote from a spokesman from the Indian Army stated, "Aggressive behavior by the two sides resulted in minor injuries to the troops. The two sides disengaged after dialogue and interactions on a local level. Troops resolved such issues mutually as per established protocols."
So it sounds like a bar fight, basically.
Yes, it certainly does, which is why I said I was preparing that report. But now I'm working on a story titled, "Really, CNN? you don't have enough to write about with the hornets and the virus and the cliff walking and coup tweets that you have to sensationalize a handful of young men getting in a post-pissing contest fisticuffs.
Not a bad title.
I need a drink.
I am not surprised. Things are terrible out there, so stay cozy with us in the bunker. Hold on to your butts.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Lather, rinse, and repeat. Till next time, I'm Trevor Wade.
I'm Michaela King.
And Trump is trying to blame China for creating this virus so that we don't have to pay back all the debt we owe them.